Medicomp Incorporated, located on the central east coast of Melbourne, Florida, is providing the symptom-driven cardiac monitoring services to the ATR Deep Pivotal Study. This slide presentation is a training guide for you as a site coordinator in the trial. You'll use this information to become familiar with Medicomp's clinical trial cardiac monitor and learn how to train your patients in its use as well. Here's an outline of what we will review in this presentation. First, you will learn what you and your subjects will expect during their participation in the trial as it applies to the symptom-driven cardiac monitoring. Second, we'll describe Medicomp's website, which we call Arrhythmia Access, and walk you through the different points of interest you will need to know about. Third, we'll provide some hands-on sequences that will help you become familiar with the monitor and how your subjects will use it. Fourth, we'll review in general the clinical criteria that Medicomp staff will apply to the rhythms from your subjects when the recordings are received. If those rhythms are significantly abnormal, they may possibly require a physician to be notified. Fifth, we will discuss how the site coordinator change is handled in the Medicomp system and the information we need to receive from you when this change occurs. And finally, provide you with the instructions for signing the training log after this session is completed. Okay, so let's get started. In this segment, we'll talk about what you and your subject should expect during the visit when you'll be giving them the monitor, and then how they'll be using the monitor during the next 6 months. Later on, during the hands-on segment, you'll learn a lot more of the practical details. The symptom-driven event monitoring begins at visit 10, which will be 3 months after the endocardial EP ablation procedure. When your subject is due to come in for this visit, prepare for this ahead of time by submitting the enrollment form. Again, we'll provide more details later. Second, give the monitor to the patient and discuss the different items in the kit that they will receive. Third, train the subject on how to use the monitor, that is, how to make a clean recording, and then teach the subject how to transmit that recording to Medicomp's Cardiac Monitoring Center. These actions are so important to help the participant feel comfortable with the use of the monitor. The CMC will in turn publish the rhythm reports on its secure website and also make the information available to the core laboratory for interpretation of the rhythm. Fourth, instruct your subject that they should make a recording anytime they are symptomatic, and if they have no symptoms by the 15th of any given month, they should make a recording and transmit it to Medicomp. Finally, after the 6 months are over, they should return all equipment to you for shipping back to Medicomp. As stated earlier, please submit the enrollment form before the subject even comes in for the visit. Choose the monitor kit and then input the serial number of the monitor into the online enrollment form. The form is sent to us electronically and we assign the monitor to the patient in our database system. This also triggers a replacement monitor and kit to be shipped to you if your facility is located in the U.S. Each monitor kit includes a fingertip accessory, which you will use for training the subject in making a clean recording. Then you'll help the subject transmit the recording to Medicomp before discharging them. All recordings will be made with the fingertip accessory unless the patient is physically unable to do this because of a missing appendage or has some type of condition that prohibits him or her from holding the arms and fingers steady. In these cases, you will provide the subject with a patient cable and electrodes and help them apply 3 electrodes to the chest and then connect the cable to the monitor. Anytime a subject has a symptom, they must make a recording. After the recording has finished, the monitor will show transmit directives on its display. If the subjects have no symptoms by the 15th of each month, they are required to make a routine recording. Fingertip recordings are 60 seconds. Patient cable recordings are 1 minute and 15 seconds. The monitor has the capacity to store 20 fingertip recordings and 16 patient cable recordings. A full monitor cannot make additional recordings until those recordings are transmitted. The device will display memory full transmit strips when this happens. Although we will get into the hands-on later, we wanted to take this time to describe to you exactly what will happen when the patients call into our monitoring center to transmit their recordings. They'll find the toll-free number in their patient guides. The numbers are in different places depending upon the language the guide is written in. Study participants should expect an automated message when their call is first answered. An automated message will be heard and they will be instructed to press 7 to transmit their data. After pressing 7, please advise the subject to wait until a live technician comes on the line. Our CMC is open 24/7 every day of the year, so someone will always be here to help them. When they reach a technician, the subject should then state that they're in the ATR or DEEP study. If they need an interpreter, they should then state their preferred language. There are several examples on this slide. Once the language is established, the technician will respond with "please hold" in English. The subject should then wait for the technician to return to the line, at which time a three-way call is established between the patient, technician, and interpreter. The subject must provide the following information: subject ID number, date of birth or year of birth if they are located outside of the U.S., and the reason for the recording. They should provide their symptoms and activity to the technician, who in fact will ask for this information anyway. As noted in the italicized text, it is always best for the subject to transmit the recording as soon as possible after the recording is made, especially if the subject is symptomatic. A side note about the patient information: Medicomp has not provided any name or other contact information for the subjects. All contact is done by the site study coordinators. So we will not be able to call these subjects back if they hang up prematurely or the call is interrupted for some reason. Please make sure your patients understand this and remain on the line until the technician releases their call. When the technician has identified the subject and pulled up the record in Medicomp's system, the subject is instructed how to transmit if needed. When the transmission is finished, the technician will inspect the recording and determine the quality of the ECG data. If there is too much artifact in the signal and the recording was made due to symptoms, the technician will request that the subject retransmit the recording. However, if it is a routine recording, the technician may ask the subject to re-record and then transmit the new recording. The technician will not release the subject or interpreter until the recording is acceptable. Transmissions should be done by landline telephone only, if at all possible, as cell phones do not transmit clearly on a consistent basis. This concludes the segment of what you and your subject should expect. Later on, during the hands-on practice, you'll make a recording, transmit, and clear the monitor so that it is available for your patients to use. In the next segment of this presentation, we'll help you become familiar with Medicomp's secure website, Arrhythmia Access. If you have your login information with you, you can actually go online to follow the steps and just log out when you're done. You should have received your Arrhythmia Access username and password with the walkthrough PDF along with other training documents for your reference. If you did not receive them, please let us know. You'll go to the Arrhythmia Access website at reports.medicompinc.com whenever you enroll your subjects with Medicomp and when you need to view or print reports. This opening window is your login screen. Take a moment to enter your username and password now if you want to log into the website. The first screen you'll see is the welcome screen, which will provide service alerts, information about new features, and other pertinent items. For example, since our corporate headquarters is located on the east coast of Central Florida, we will post alerts if we have been affected by approaching hurricanes as we switch to our backup locations in Maryland and San Francisco. You'll notice at the top of the web page a set of navigation tabs that help you navigate the website. The Report tab will navigate you to all published reports for the subjects enrolled by your site location. The Patient's Enrollment tab will navigate you to the blank enrollment form, and the My Preference tab will navigate you to the Settings page where you can change your password or change your email preferences. The welcome screen also provides a search field in which you can enter a subject's ID number to quickly access the reports belonging to that subject. The home icon will take you back to the welcome screen, while the logout icon will log you out of the Arrhythmia Access website. When you sign on for the first time, we ask you to change your password to increase the security of the login. Click on the My Preference tab and then select Change Password. Enter your current password, your new password, and then confirm your new password. Once these fields are completed, click on Submit to complete the password change. The My Preference page also allows you to change the way you are notified when your subject's reports are posted to the website. Good news though, we've already taken care of this configuration step for you, so each time a report is posted, you'll be notified via email address you provided to us. Simply click on the home icon to go back to the welcome screen. So let's talk about the enrollment process. As we've mentioned before, please do this well ahead of your subject's visit. Remember that you need to enroll the subject into Medicomp's system in addition to the enrollment in the ATR trial. Click on the Patient Enrollment tab in the navigation bar and then Event under New Enrollments below. The next screen is a blank enrollment form. Complete the fields as follows. Subject ID is an 8-digit format separated by a dash in the middle. The first 4 digits are your site number and the next 4 digits are the subject's ID number. For example, if you are located at site 1234 and your subject number is 0001, then you would type 1234-0001 into the subject's ID field. Press the Tab key on your keyboard to advance to the randomization date. A calendar pops up and the current date is shown at the bottom of the calendar. Click on the current day in the calendar or click on the date at the bottom. Click the Tab key to go to the country and enter the country in which your site is located. Tab over to Date of Birth. Make sure that you use the format specified, which is month, day, year, so that inside the U.S. you are entering the subject's actual date of birth, but outside the U.S. use month and day as January 01. Tab to the language field and enter the language in which your subject is fluent. Continue to tab over to specify the patient's gender and whether they have a pacemaker or not. In the next section, you will need to select the PI of your site. If your PI's name is not in the list, you can add it by selecting the arrow in the drop-down menu and selecting Add Physician. And then enter the PI's last and then first name into their respective fields. You will only have to do this once, as the PI's name will be in the drop-down menu upon your next enrollment. Following this section is the site information block. Type in your name and email address, as this informs us of who submitted the enrollment. In the procedure information block, you will need to type in the monitor serial number. If you float your mouse over this field, an image will appear above the serial number field, pointing out where the serial number is located. When you enter the serial number, do not leave a space in between the first 4 digits and the last ones. Finally, type in any comments you would like to communicate to Medicomp and then click Enroll Patient. The enrollment process is now complete. The system will alert you of a successful enrollment with a pop-up box. If there is any missing information, the system will alert you by highlighting the fields that need to be corrected or completed. Once you have corrected any missing data, simply click on Enroll Patient again to complete the enrollment. If at any time you need assistance with an enrollment, please feel free to contact us. Each time one of your subjects transmits a recording to our monitoring center, the recording is reviewed, edited, and a report is published. As mentioned previously, you'll receive notification via email anytime a report is generated from one of your subject's recordings and posted on Arrhythmia Access. You have the option to directly view the report by selecting a link in the email, or you can log into Arrhythmia Access. Please note, when using the link in the email, you will still have to enter your username and password if you are not already logged in to AAW. To get started, you'll click on Reports in the navigation pane and then Event. A list of your subjects will now be displayed, and you can sort them accordingly to your preference by clicking on any of the column headings. You can also use the search block at the top to find a patient you don't see. When you find the subjects you are looking for, click on Reports in the View field. To view, print, or save a report, click on the PDF in the View column of the subject's list. The first page of the report will be shown. The icons in the upper right portion of the screen are available for rotating the image, downloading the report, or printing it. When you are finished with the report, use your browser's back button to return to the previous screen. If you have multiple reports to view or print, printing this way can be tedious and time-consuming. To make it easier to work with multiple reports at one time, use the options in the yellow bar. Use the checkboxes in the Select column to designate the specific reports you want to work on. Float the mouse cursor over Save in the yellow bar and click Save All. This will create a PDF of all the reports you place the check mark next to, which will appear at the bottom of your screen. Simply click on the file to open the selected reports. To return to your report listing from the reports, click on the X in the current tab at the top of the screen. That completes the Arrhythmia Access tutorial. To leave AAW, click on the logout icon located at the top right corner of the screen. We'll tackle the hands-on next, so go ahead and open a monitor kit and we'll continue. The 4 areas we'll cover in this segment are: 1. You'll learn the contents of the kits that each subject receives. 2. You'll set up a monitor. 3. Make a recording and transmit it to the open air. And 4. Erase the settings and recording in the monitor so that it can eventually be given to one of your subjects. Open up one of the monitor kits you received. You should find the event symptom-driven monitor in its belt clip, a patient guide in one of 4 languages, a pack of 4 AA batteries, a bundle of 20 alcohol prep pads, the fingertip accessory, and the return envelope. If at any time we determine that your particular subject requires the patient cable, you will need to provide the patient with the bundle of electrodes and 3-wired cable, and then train them on their use. Each electrode pack contains 3 electrodes. Now we'll focus on configuring the monitor for a subject. Don't worry about any of the settings you change because we'll be erasing them at the end of this session. And by the way, if you get lost by pressing the buttons by mistake during any of these steps, just remove the battery, reinsert it, and start over again. First step is to remove the fingertip accessory or cable from the device if either is attached. Second, turn the monitor over and find the cover to the battery compartment. Push the cover in the direction of the inscribed arrows and remove it. Now insert one of the AA batteries with the flat end of the battery against the spring. Once the battery is inserted, go ahead and replace the battery cover. The monitor beeps as it turns on and goes through some initializing displays. Notice that you have a symptom button on the front and a yes and no button on the right side. The other side is for the sticky label that the trial is providing you that will be printed with the patient's ID number. For the third step, the monitor screen now displays time zone OK. As you see in the steps in the table, press the no button until you get to the right time zone. Press yes when you see it on the display. If you don't see your time zone, you'll need to select the option Other and choose your time zone and press yes to accept. The fourth step is to change the time in the monitor, if needed. You may have realized by now that the no button changes the display setting and the yes button confirms it. If the date and time are correct, press yes, or just wait 4 seconds and the monitor will automatically go to the next step, which is the patient ID. If the date and time are incorrect, you have about 4 seconds to press the no button to make a change. So if any changes are necessary, please follow the step-by-step instructions as shown in step 4. The fifth step is the patient ID, which will initially start with all zeros, and ask the question if this is correct. The first 4 numbers are your site number, and the second 4 set of digits are the patient's number in the trial. So for example, if you're at site 0161 and this is patient number 1, you will need to enter 0161 0001. Looking at the monitor, you'll see that the digit on the far left side is blinking. Since this is site 0161, go ahead and press the yes button once to accept the first digit as a 0. The second digit will now start blinking. Press the no button once and the second digit will change to a 1. Press yes to accept this setting, and go on to your third digit. Press no until you get to the 6, and then press yes. Press no to change the fourth digit to a 1, and then press yes to accept. The next 4 digits represent your subject number. For this example, we are using subject number 1, so go ahead and press the yes button 3 times to accept zeros for digits 5, 6, and 7. The last digit is now blinking. Press no 1 time to display the number 1, then press yes to accept. Once you have entered the full patient ID, all digits will flash. Press the yes button to confirm that number is correct. If not, press no and you'll go back through the same sequence again. The 6th step is the pacemaker option. The default setting is the patient does not have a pacemaker and you would press yes. If the patient has a pacemaker, press no to change the setting to on and then press yes to accept. The 7th step is quick. Just press yes when the monitor displays trial date OK, as this setting is not used in the monitor for the ATR trial. For step 8, the monitor will display manual looper settings OK. press yes. Next, insert the fingertip accessory and the monitor will finish the setup. After this is completed, the display will go blank. The monitor is now ready for you to make your first recording. This concludes the monitor setup instructions. This slide set will take you step by step through making a recording and then transmitting it. So your knowledge and familiarity with these processes will be extremely helpful to you and your patients when it comes time to train them to do the same things you are about to do. Also, you can practice these steps anytime you want. Just make sure that you reset the monitor before you give it to the patient. We'll go through the reset sequence at the end of this segment. First, the monitor with the fingertip accessory attached is normally housed in the belt clip, so the recordings can be made while it is housed in the case, or the patient can remove it. Either way, you should plan ahead by looking around for a flat, stable surface on which to rest your forearms so that your hands are steady during the recording. Take one of the alcohol pads from the kit, tear open the package, and moisten your fingers with the alcohol. Press the symptom button. You'll notice that the monitor needs to turn on first, and then it will display a count starting at 3 seconds. This gives you time to place your fingers or thumbs onto the finger pads and rest your forearms on a sturdy surface. If you have time, feel free to wet your fingers again with the alcohol if it is evaporated. As you see on this slide, the positions that are crossed out in the circles are not allowed. Neither of these hand positions will produce a proper ECG signal if they do at all. Watch the display. The 3-second countdown will finish, and the 60-second countdown will then take place. Try to keep your hands and forearms still until the display shows recording complete. Depending on the version of the monitor, you may see a call number or a message that displays "Call the Medicomp CMC." As stated before, if a 3-lead cable is needed, you may want to shave male patients who have chest hair. Just spots that are the size of the electrodes in the locations shown. Then instruct them to maintain those areas somewhat free of hair so that the electrodes they will be applying have good contact and are not so painful to remove. Once the areas are shaved, wash them with ordinary soap and water. Try not to use soaps that contain lotions or oils. Then dry the locations thoroughly. It will be easiest if they snap the wires onto the electrodes first and then apply them to their chest. Place the electrodes as pictured, white on the right, the upper right chest, red on the bottom left chest, and black on the bottom right beneath the white electrode. Go over white on right with the patient. That will help them to remember and then locate the other 2 electrodes. They can use the pictures in the patient guide if they want. So once all of the electrodes are firmly and correctly placed, they will connect the other end of the cable to the monitor, wait for the device to start up and display ready, and then they can start the recording. Recordings taken via the patient cable are 1 minute and 15 seconds, while the fingertip recordings are 60 seconds in duration. Now we can move on to the transmission steps of this segment. The call-in sequence was detailed previously, so we will be describing just the transmission steps. When you are training the patient, you will call into the monitoring center. Remove the monitor from the belt clip. It is not necessary to remove the fingertip accessory, although the technician may direct you to do this. Once the phone connection is established, and when directed by the technician, place the monitor and phone handset on a flat surface as pictured in this slide. Find the 5 little holes on the back of the monitor, as this is the speaker, and line up this area with the mouthpiece of the phone. The mouthpiece should be about a 1/2 inch away from the back of the monitor. When the equipment is correctly positioned, press the yes button on the side of the monitor. This action will start the transmission. As the study coordinator in training, just let the transmission go into the air. You may want to cover the speaker. When you're training your subject, you're actually taking them through the steps. So tell them that they'll hear a loud tone, like a fax machine, and you'll see the screen display the progress of the transmission in a percentage of the completion bar. The transmission is 3 times real time, so a 60-second recording will take 20 seconds to transmit. When the tone stops, the transmission is done. Make sure that you pick the phone back up again to talk to the technician, who will ask you to wait while they look at the recording. A quick quality check to make sure that the signal came across clearly. If there are any issues, such as excessive noise or signal fluctuation, they will ask you or your subject to repeat the transmission or recording, depending upon why the recording was done. When all of these actions have been taken, the patient can place the monitor back where they were wearing or carrying it so that it's ready to be used again. That completes the how to make a recording and transmit the data section. Once a recording has been transmitted, the memory space in the monitor is free to store another recording. However, the space is not occupied until it becomes absolutely necessary. In other words, all possible recording memory space is used before transmitted recordings are overwritten. If recordings have not been transmitted, they cannot be overwritten, and the monitor will display an error if the patient attempts to record when the memory has been maxed out. In the following slides, we will cover resetting your monitor so that it is ready to be set up for the next subject. We will also provide you with the steps to restarting the monitor's operational limit during an active and inactive procedure. Now we'll run through the monitor reset sequence. Remove the fingertip accessory and press the No button to wake the display. The screen should then display, "Please insert patient cable." At this time, press the No button 1 time. If the screen then displays to transmit call Medicomp CMC, it means that there are recordings on the monitor that have not been transmitted. At this point, please stop and transmit the recordings first before proceeding with this sequence. If the screen does not display to transmit call Medicomp CMC, please go ahead and press the No button 4 more times. Then press the Symptom button once and the No button 5 more times. The screen should then display Start Diagnostic Mode. Press Yes once. The screen should then display Inpatient Procedure. Press No. The screen should then display Erase Patient Procedure. Press No again. The screen will display Erase Current Settings. Press Yes. The monitor will display Clearing Out Old Procedure and then go blank. Please remove the battery and place the monitor back in its case to set up for your next patient. Regarding the specifications of this monitor, you should know that the monitor can run for 3 consecutive days or 72 hours on one AA battery. So the subject really should be able to use the same AA battery throughout their participation in the trial. However, if the battery does get too low for operation, the front of the monitor will display a low battery message, so the patient will know when the battery needs to be changed. This ends the hands-on segment of this presentation. Please note that the symptom-driven monitor has an operational limit of 184 days. Since the duration of this trial may exceed that, depending upon the subject's last recording window, you may need to restart the device before that time limit is reached. You can extend the limit by another 184 days at any time while the monitor procedure is still active, which is the easiest sequence, or when it has completed, which requires a few more steps. So the restart slides you are seeing now outline these 2 sequences, one for restarting the monitor during the procedure, and one for restarting the monitor after the procedure has completed. We will not go through the step-by-steps in this video, but we wanted you to be aware of them. You should have received the PDF copies of these instructions with the video, which will better guide you on how to restart the monitor if and when needed. Next, we'll talk about the notification criteria. During the course of the symptom-driven event procedure, that is, as the subjects are sending recordings to us, there may be times when they have critical arrhythmias and/or symptoms, which will require Medicomp to notify the site coordinator and/or send the subject to the ER or call 911. The notification criteria document provides Medicomp technicians with the guidelines regarding the types of arrhythmias and symptoms that meet the criteria and what actions need to be taken. It is Medicamp's policy to take the following actions when physician notification is warranted. 1. Notify the site coordinator via email and copy Maury and Wayne with the patient's ID number, date and time the recording was made, and the reason for contact as specified on the notification criteria form. 2. Maintain documentation stating the name of the person notified via email and the date and time of contact, along with the mode of message delivery. 3. Study participants will be advised to seek medical attention at an ER or call 911 if they meet criteria. The notification criteria are shown here, but you can also reference the notification criteria document that was provided to you. Please note that sustained arrhythmias are defined as a duration of equal to or greater than 30 seconds. Triage actions will not be taken if we have been notified on a patient-by-patient basis that certain arrhythmias are chronic for that patient. The ATR Deep AF pivotal trial does not require a follow-up recording. Study participants should be advised by the site coordinator that the CardioPal Savvy CT monitor is not to take the place of them seeking medical attention if needed. Please review the notification criteria and note numbers 4 and number 6, as subjects will only be advised to seek medical attention if they are highly symptomatic. Highly symptomatic refers to the following symptoms: nausea, shortness of breath, chest pressure, diaphoresis, numbness of the neck or jaw, and numbness to an extremity or unable to speak. The criteria guidelines are the same for all AtriCure Deep sites. This ends the notification criteria segment. If anyone has any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us. As soon as you know that there will be a site coordinator change at your facility, please let us know. This is especially important in light of what we just discussed regarding the notification criteria. As stated in the previous slides, Medicamp has not provided any of the study participants' contact information, so if a patient is found to have serious arrhythmias and/or symptoms, we need to be able to contact the study coordinator to make sure that the correct patient follow-up is implemented. This concludes the Medicamp and Deep training. The training log document was sent to you with the initial site profile and notification forms. Once you have completed the training, please print the document, sign it, and email a copy back to Heather Regal at AtriCure, along with Maury and Wayne at Medicamp. The final slide contains our contact information. Please feel free to email either one of us anytime and call during business hours, please. Thank you very much for your time and participation in this training. Please note that Maury and myself are always here to answer any questions and help with any problems that may arise. Thank you.